Choose life. Choose a career. Choose. You know what's coming next. Never too old to game. Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be discussing the best console settings for the PS4, PS4 Pro and the PS5 in Vanguard. Sorry guys, it's taken me 3 days, but I've been literally playing like hell and trying to find out the best settings for you guys out there to make sure that your game is the best game that you guys can be having. So without further ado, let me dive into the game and I'll see you there. Welcome back. Here I am. So let's start off with controller. So aiming input device will mostly be controller. We ain't one of those keyboard guys because we hate the keyboard guys. They're cheating mofos. So that we stick to controller. You gotta have some skill with your controller player. So for us, horizontal stick sensitivity and vertical stick sensitivity, this is total personal preference. I would say try it on a lower rate and then build it up until you feel comfortable and how snappy it is. Then we're looking at our multipliers. So if you've got a higher sensitivity, you're moving around, you can snap in around corners, you can ping around, do 360s, 180s super quick. When you are ADSing, that means you're going to be moving around the ADS super quick, which is not ideal when you're trying to aim on a target. So if you have a really high sensitivity, which is great for moving around, you might then want to drop your ADS sensitive multiplier down a notch. You don't want to keep it at 1. So you basically, if you've got say 10 as a horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity, and your ADS sensitivity multiplier is 1, that means your ADS will also be 10. But if you then pull it down to, like on here, 0.7, that is 70% off your horizontal stick sensitivity if it's at 10. So in theory, it'd be like having your stick sensitivity at 7. So hopefully, guys, that makes sense. So tinker with it so you can have your sensitivity higher and adjust your ADS so when you're ADSing, it's a lot slower. So it kind of helps out a little bit more. You can then also further customize your ADSs for all the different scopes. So for me personally, I've kept mine all standard. I've turned it off. I kept it at 0.7. I will tinker with this when I'm pretty much going to be using snipers where I want that fine attunement. I want that slower movement so I can get those fine trigger onto those players for those headshots or neck multipliers. I will probably reduce my something like the +6, 7, 8, 9 down to a 0.6 instead of a 0.7. But we'll show less. Button layout preset is tactical. The reason for this is we want the crouch and prone on our R3 button. So as we're moving around, we can slide around corners with ease without taking our finger off the controller, well basically off the right thumbstick, instead of having to type X. So that's the main reason for this. This is fantastic and tactical is what we will be using in Warzone. So if you're a Warzone player and you're now playing Vanguard or vice versa, you just start playing Vanguard and you're going to be jumping onto Warzone eventually, use tactical. It's the easiest, best configuration for your controller to use. Vertical aim on foot, ground vehicles and thingies, I've just kept this as standard. Aim response curve type, I've tried all of them out. At present, I'm just liking dynamic. But this, once again, is personal preference. What you find is you're working for you is something that you want to stick with. If you find that you're aiming and you're pretty much getting more kills per game, with dynamic, use that. If you find you do it with linear, use that. If you're using standard, use that. It's total personal preference, so definitely tinker with this and see which one. Do play 5 games, see how many kills you get, and then do a game with the linear, see how many you get. See if you're improving, then try it with dynamic. See which one works for you. Okay, guys? Control vibration, turn off. We don't want the vibrating controller when we're aiming or someone's firing at us. We don't want that feedback into the controller. We want to be steady on the controller, so remove that. Weapon fire threshold. So this will basically, if you have this on, the fire button will simulate a gun's trigger with different thresholds to fire different weapons. This basically means that any gun you pick up is going to have a different impact for you. This is going to be a right pain. You would have to learn those impacts for each individual gun. So therefore we turn it off. So we have the fire button will react exactly the same regardless of what the weapon is used. So it makes it super easy for us to pick up any gun and know exactly how it's going to fire. So definitely keep that one as off. Definitely a key one. ADS sensitivity transition timing. I've done this as gradual. I used to have it as instant, but I find it's just slightly better for me. I find if I had it on instant, when I'm aiming, I would then pop up. So it would just move too much from where I was pre-aiming, so I found that really annoying, so I moved that to gradual. ADS sensitivity multi steady aim, 1. Stick layout preset is the standard for me. Controller orientation up, unless you're those weirdy person, then it's be inverted. ADS stick swap Definitely have this off. If you have this on, it is ridiculously crazy. And then we move down to our input dead zone. So this is basically on stick drift. So if you're looking at your left and right stick and you have an older controller and you just leave your cursor where it is, it will slightly move to one side or the other. That is stick drift. If you do get that, you want to increase your dead zone upwards. If you don't have stick drift, when that basically is if you've got a new controller or controller that's in very condition, you can have this down lower. It definitely helps having it lower for what you're trying. This also, I've also changed this for the R2 and L2 button. This is like when it's pressed, depending on what controllers you've got. If you've got, like myself, a scuff controller, they're pretty much instant triggers. So as you press it, it fires. Whereas if you've got original control, or especially if you're using the PS5 controller, have this down to the lowest point possible. So as soon as you press that button, it's engaging and doing exactly what you want, and not having that couple of milliseconds where it's not engaging what you want to do. So remember that if you're PS5 and you're using an older controller and you're not using the scuff or battle cleaver controller, definitely have these two down set to the lowest threshold that you want. Probably even have it down to 0, 1 or 2. I have this as 2. Pretty much can do the same with L2, but I have the impact triggers, so they pretty much press them, they're on target. And then we've got our stick map input dead zone, left it standard 99. Next up, let's go to gameplay. Target aim assist, have it on. Your aim is slowed down when your crosshairs, and we have this set to default. This is the traditional aim slowdown when aiming near a target, and this is default mode in Call of Duty Warzone. This is pretty much what I use as standard, so I haven't got this in change in time, and it works fine for me. Once again, slightly personal preference. There's no right or wrong one here. Just use what works best for you. ADS aim assist I've turned off because it's only in effect for campaign and zombies. So if you're using zombies for, I don't know, ranking up your characters or just like playing that, it will snap onto a target when you aim onto them. It's not going to help you when you start playing in multiplayer because you're going to be used to like going to target and it snaps onto the target. So you think you're like pretty much super aim assist or really good at aiming on the characters. You want to turn it off so therefore when you're playing zombies, you're still going to be controlling yourself, getting better basically when you do play multiplayer, if that makes sense. Weapon mount activation, ADS and melee, makes it a lot easier to snap onto those mantling on the targets. Weapon mount movement exit is on. Depleted ammo weapon switch, so when your ammo goes down to 0, it changes guns. For your automatic, I have that as on. Blind fire also have on, which allows you to shoot at enemies while hidden behind environmental structures. Automatic airborne mantle partial. So this kind of helps you when you automatic mantle if it could prevent from foul, so it's only partial. Mantle stance queuing on. Automatic tactical sprint is turned on. Make this super easy for moving around. This also means that when you do set up your guns, always look for that sprint to fire speed, because most of the time you will be automatically sprinting. This is critical. Automatic tactical sprint is fantastic for sprint slide cancelling in Warzone. So it's best to get used to it in multiplayer. So when you do transition over to Warzone, when all the guns from Vanguard come over, you're in a good place to start off with. Auto move forward, turn off, and sprint cancel to reload on, because sometimes you do need to cancel. So sprint can cancel to reload, and you want to be able to engage that. And I want to be able to get away quickly and don't be stuck in reloading. Sprint door bashing, I turn that off. I don't want to be smashing through doors. You will smash through doors with you sliding though, so that's ideal, but I don't want to be running through doors creating noise, so I have that turned off, so I have to open them manually. Action behavior, slide behavior I like tap, so that's basically for my R3 button, so I can tap down the side, make it super easy, very easy to move around the field. Aim down sight behavior, holding it down, I don't want to tap on a hold and release, and then it releases me off ADSing. Equipment behavior, hold, so that's pretty standard as behavior. Steady aim behavior as toggle, so this one I don't want to hold, I'd rather just toggle. Press to steady aim, press again to stop, because if we're steady aiming, it's automatically going to, after a certain period, it's going to kick us out anyway, so it's easy to have as toggle. Auto weapon fire behavior as hold. Interact, reload, prioritize, interact, and the scoreboard behavior as toggle. Next, without further ado, we go to graphics. Brightness, I like to have it on 50 or 50-55. Tends to work quite nicely. I can see a lot. I don't want it too high. If I have it too high, it dilutes my picture and it's not great. Field of vision, pretty much I would say between 95 and 105, whatever you're comfortable with. Too high, you just pulled away from the game too much, and too little, you're not seeing those corners. So definitely 105 is my personal preference. Try it out, see what you think, but definitely keep it between maybe 95 and a 105, or even down to 90 as a minimum for you guys. Camera movement at least 50% to help you with that sickness of the motion. World motion blur, turn off, key critical thing. Weapon motion blur, turn off, another key thing. Depth of field on, and then your field Philodex CAX off. On demand texture streaming. So on this one I have it turned off. I have a fairly good fast broadband connection, but it's not ideal. If you're getting like 50 or 80 megabyte download, definitely to have it turned on to help you out. But if you are in those ranges of up to 30, then probably turn it off so it doesn't affect your game itself. Audio 100% for master volume, music 0, dialogue 20, and sound effects at 100. Hitmarker sound effects have Vanguard or Classic, whatever you're used to. Audio mixes home theatre. Kill streaks turn it off because I don't want to hear those in the background. Mono audio off because I want to be able to hear on my headsets which direction people come from, left or right, and the rest of that we're not worried about. Interface wise, the main things on here are right down the bottom where it says telemetry, server latency and packet loss. This is ideal for when I'm playing games, so this is why I turned off my, where was it, on-demand texturing, because I noticed that I was getting high latency and packet loss, but turning it off and not streaming down in the background increase that. So increase means that the worst case is if you turn around the corner and you think you fired at the guy first and he's killed you, and when you go back on the kill cam he clearly saw you first. That's usually due to your latency and packet loss. It's just basically your computer's not performing to the best abilities that it can. So bear that in mind. And then we go over to our interface, which we want to then look at the HUD elements. We want to have this set as square. It gives us more. It gives us around about 25% or slightly more visual space on the map up in the top left, which is ideal. We want that rotation so we know in general direction what people coming in the direction that we're moving, which is key. And they're the main things there. And we've already talked about telemetry, and that's it. And there's nothing else on account that you need to know, which is pretty much standard. I do turn off the graphic content as off, but guys, that is pretty much, I would say, the best settings on console for the PS4, PS4 Pro and PS5. This is so much easier because you can clearly see when I go to my stuff here that I am a PS4, well, I'm a PS4 Pro player and a PS5 player. Unlike those that do say these are the best settings, and they're clearly using a computer because it does not look like what I've got. And then they've got where it says controller, input device, there's a load of other stuff, and there's, when they go to the graphics side, you can see mine's quite basic, whereas they've got a shed load of stuff. So they're not particularly, they're using the computer with a controller, whereas they're not definitely using just the PS4, PS4 Pro or the PS5. So guys, I hope you like the content. Make sure you make a comment. Anything you think that I've missed out that I should be doing, tell me. I will try it out and I will update it for the next time. But guys, love you and leave you. N2O2G says, time to see you guys in Vanguard or in Warzone sometime soon.